Welcome to episode 64, Michael Lab Show. We're here back at it again. Beautiful people out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That helps tremendously. On top of that, if you are listening to this on Apple, Spotify, whatever your platform of choices for audio podcasts, go ahead and leave it a 5-star rating, and please write it a comment or a written rating. I used to not ask, but now I'm going to ask. You know why? Because that's what we're going to do, and that's where we are. Obviously, you guys can tell I'm feeling a little bit better today. It's been a better few days. I'm waking up kind of feeling alive again. It was the lack of sleep. You know, that's what it was. I'm reading this book by Matthew Walker, and it's called Why We Sleep, and it's literally all about sleep. 1 second. All right, cool. There we go. It's all about sleep and REM sleep and NREM sleep, and so non-rapid eye movement versus rapid eye movement. And it's a fucking incredible book. I'm sweating my face off in here. But it's an incredible book. It's all about sleep and the consequences if you don't sleep. I'm only like 90 pages into it. But this guy was on Joe Rogan like 3 years ago. And at this time, I was just an ignorant little fuck. And I didn't I refused to read anything. I thought I was too cool to read. Sadly, that's embarrassing to say, but that's my truth. So I'm going to tell you guys that. I was embarrassed to read. So I was so uncomfortable with possibly being smart or learning anything. Anyways, so I'm reading this book right now. And one of the things that happens when you don't sleep enough, so rapid eye movement it's about 30 or about 20% of your sleep. And what it is it's the dream state. And it increases the longer you sleep. It increases the longer into your sleep circadian rhythm cycle. But what it does is it increases creativity in essence. So there's a higher level of neuro what's the word I'm looking for? Activity, like neuron activity. So your brain's working so much quicker. There's a lot of activity going on in your prefrontal cortex, which is where creation and executive functions come from. And in this part of your brain's firing away. And what happens if you don't sleep for the recommended 7 to 8 hours, which is very important to do every night, you will cut off that rapid eye movement. You will hit. And the reason why you're cut it off is because you won't get to the last, 10% of your sleep, which is where the predominant, where most of the REM comes from. That's where you hit the most of your REM sleep. And if you do this for an extended period of time, since you're eliminating that rapid eye movement every night pretty much, you're barely hitting it. You're just in a deep sleep, which is fine. That's healthy. But you're cutting off so much of what sleep can offer you too, which is the dream state, which is the creativity state. And when you're in this state, you since you're more creative, since there's more activity in your brain, you're literally increasing your intelligence level too. You're increasing the activity of your brain. Therefore, there's more neuroplasticity in your brain, and you can when you wake up, you're more capable of retaining information because you are essentially you have a higher density of neural connections now in your brain. But if you don't do this for a long period of time, I feel like there's a hair just popping in front of my forehead right here, and it's annoying, but I don't think there is. Anyways, I digress. But if you're not hitting this state, you end up becoming depressed in a way because your brain's functioning in a lower level. You're not hitting that creative stage of your sleep, so you're not really in this world of peace. You're not taking your thoughts throughout the day and putting them into a dream state. And So you're eliminating yourself from a very vital part of sleep. And I didn't really think too much of it. But then I picked this book up at the perfect time, and as I'm reading, I'm like, holy shit, that is exactly that's exactly what I'm feeling like. I'm just feeling lethargic. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling less creative. I'm not really I'm not applying myself in school like I normally do. And I'm just kind of feeling like whatever, let's just get through this day. So as I'm reading this book, I'm realizing how just damn important it is to get those 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. And it's something that I'm going to attempt as much as I possibly can. Some nights it's hard. You get off at 10:15, you get home by 10:30, 10:45, and you're in bed by 11:15, and you got to be up at 5:30. So, I mean, you're getting close to that time period, but, it takes a while to go to bed, Anyways, it's taken me, embarrassingly, up to this point to realize just how important it is. And I've always known how important it is to sleep. But for me, I'm like that asshole who wants like evidence almost, or not even evidence. I just want some fact backing. Like I want there to be some sort of this, you do this because if not, this happens, or this works out this way because these are the systems that play into this big system. And that's just kind of how that's part of my personality. And that is frustrating to a lot of people, because what that leads to is constant questions all the time. You do this, we do it this way here because, and then you're expecting a response that's not just like, because that's the way we've always done it. It's like you totally, I accept that. I accept that wherever it is, a job or, school or, whatever it is, I accept that as, okay, that's fine. And it's not a disrespect, but at the same time, it's like, I want to know why the machine is working this way. I don't want a course on it, but I want to understand why we do something this way. Is it more efficient? Does it keep costs low? Does it, I want to know like the back end of everything. And I think that's, kind of what I ran into with sleep. It's just, I never, I think I say, a lot. I don't think I say, too much. I say it occasionally, but that doesn't matter. I think I ran into that with sleep, Oh, did it again. And I didn't have a full grasp on the purpose of it. But then I got to a point where I'm reading about it and I'm understanding it, and it's making me value it so much more. And I've always had this irrational, maybe not irrational, this fear that I'm going to develop Alzheimer's. Ever since my grandpa has been struggling with it even more, I'm even more convinced. I've convinced myself even more and more that I will develop Alzheimer's eventually. And I know that there's great ways to decrease the percentage of developing Alzheimer's or dementia, at least to decrease the pace that you get it, because, some people say it's pretty much, oh my God, this button has been undone the whole time. I'm such a fat ass. Hopefully my belly hasn't been poking out, because I'm very insecure about my weight all the time. Sorry, I'm talking to myself. I put on this shirt literally just for this podcast. I had like some shitty sweatshirt on, but I decided I had to look semi-decent for the episodes now. Yeah, so that's cool. Once you start thinking about what you're doing, like once you start thinking about, oh, I'm sitting in front of a camera and I'm talking to it, I'm like, wait a second, this is weird as shit. This is craziness. Door's locked, fan is on, laptop's looking at me, no one's listening to me. I'm just talking to a microphone. It's some wild shit, some narcissistic shit. I'm an asshole for doing that, and I am a selfish, narcissistic lunatic. But yeah, so I've been sleeping a lot more lately, and I think it's very important to sleep, and I finally have a reason for it. And it's, a lot of people say you're a smart ass for that, but I don't think so. I don't think that makes you a smart ass. I think the way you maybe associate, maybe the way you go about it could make you sound like a smart ass, but I don't think I'm a smart ass. I like to know things, and the more I learn, the less I think I know anything, which is beautiful. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday at work at the front desk, and we were talking about that. We're talking about intelligence, and it's like the most intelligent people are not the people who are sharing their knowledge. You know, it's very fascinating because there's a point of knowledge where you retain a lot of information on whatever it is. Let's just say you are learning about quantum mechanics. This book by Sean Carroll, Something Deeply Hidden, that I read like 2 months back. And you're learning about quantum mechanics. You're reading as much as you possibly can, and you're covering this topic and that topic and this topic and you know, multiverse theory and the Escher equation and your different quantum mechanics. You know, and you're trying to wrap your head around all this information. Are you learning it? No, I don't think you're learning it. Are you becoming more intelligent into the subject matter? Yes, because you are making progress because you didn't know anything. Until you get to the point where you feel like you are competent in a certain subject, when that point hits, you're always going to you're gonna spend more time researching and reading and reading, and you're probably not going to be sharing that information because to you it's like when you dig a hole and then like the hole, when you're digging, terrible analogy, but when you're digging a hole you realize it just gets wider and wider and wider instead of getting thinner. You know, you feel like you're making progress, but then you look around and it's just like there's more space. You know, there's more space. Terrible analogy, but you know what I mean. Or like when you're swimming in water and you're coming up from, you know, the depths of the ocean or the pool, and the sun, you feel like you're getting terrible analogy. But what I'm basically trying to say is that the more you dive into something and the more intelligence you develop around a certain subject, or the more knowledge you have, or essentially just the ability to remember more, because that's what you're doing, I wouldn't say don't feel confident, but you don't feel like you should share the information, because in the same sense where you just don't think you're an expert in it. So it's interesting, like the most intelligent people are not the ones that are out there talking about it all the time. Dude, I used to be the most ignorant son of a bitch in the world. I used to act like I knew so many things. I would say 3-liners, 4-liners, 5-liners, 6-liners. And then the 7th line, I wouldn't be able to get out. I wouldn't be able to back myself on whatever I said. And now these days, I may have more knowledge in my brain, and I may have more thoughts in my brain. I may have more answers to questions that I once had in my brain somewhere up there where I don't know where you can find space up there. It's just chaos all the time. My brain is like taking a bowling ball and just picking it up and throwing it against a fucking wall all day long. That's what it feels like. That's how like my thoughts are. And then there's just like a big hit, and I'm just like, whoa, what the fuck was that? And where did that come from, brain? And my brain's like, it came from this side of the brain. And the brain's like, no, I don't want it on that side of the brain. And the brain's like, we don't know what to do with this. And then Michael's like, I don't know what to do with this. And then I panic and I lose my mind. But it's interesting because the more knowledge you pick up on anything, you don't want to share it because you don't think you know it. But then and then there's this weird moment where people are like, whoa, I didn't know you knew that, or wow, you're so smart, or wow, you're extraterrestrial, which is something I get a lot. And it's wild because you get very insecure with it. Because I'm reading about an actual expert. I'm reading actually about Sean Carroll, who's a professor at Caltech with theoretical physics and quantum mechanics. And you are like, wait, no, I don't know shit. This is why I'm reading this. But someone's saying, whoa, you're smart. I can't believe you know that. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm sleeping more. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm a little hyperactive. I'm swamped at school, which is nice. It's cool. I'm home this weekend. I'm not going to see my girlfriend, which sucks butthole. And there's reasons for that, but whatever. Nothing bad. But there's reasons for it. And it's just an unfortunate scenario. And that's how life works, because like a great man said, you don't always get what you want. But if you try sometimes, you might just find you get what you need. And I might get a strike for that on YouTube because it's not my song. Damn it, I probably will get a strike for that. I might have to cut that out. If there was like a jump clip, it's because of that. Otherwise, I'm not cutting that out, and that's staying in there. Dude, I wonder if audio podcasts only have strikes on it too. I don't think, maybe, I don't know. Maybe there is. Because I've had like emails to YouTube like copyright notice. Not a strike, but like a copyright notice. I don't think I've ever got one on Libsyn, which is like my audio podcast platform, which I use. Which I still get people who ask me, how do you do audio podcasts? You got to get a software that uploads to all other podcast outlets. Like I use Libsyn. I think there's like Podbean and there's like a few other ones that you could use. But yeah. Yeah, what was I talking about? I don't know what I was talking about. I do know, school. It's just kicking my ass, but I kind of enjoy it. Oh yeah, so I have this weekend to kind of just sit back and do a lot of homework. Like Friday, I'm just going to do homework pretty much all day. And then Saturday, I'm going to do homework. And then I'm going to try to do 2 podcasts for the following week. Sunday, I'm going to build up some podcast. And then I'm going to do a lot of homework, knock out probably like 2 weeks worth of homework, just sit in the library all day, lock myself in there and just nonstop get after it, because that's how I do things. I do it very extreme, and that's going to be like my extreme obsession for a certain amount of time, because that's unfortunately how I rock and roll. I just get started on things, and I will push and push and push until it gets done, or I lose my mind. And if I lose my mind, it still gets done. So at the end of the day, I push until it gets done. I have a few quotes here I want to share with you guys. There's a guy named Terrence McKenna, and Terrence McKenna was what was he? 1 second. Gotta have the Red Bull. If you guys are watching this audio, you guys can watch video, and then you can watch me drink my beverages, which is probably very frustrating for people on YouTube. But man, I don't have someone else to talk, so I can't like drink my beverage while someone else is talking. So I gotta like take a break every once in a while and sip myself a Red Bull. Terrence McKenna, what was he? He died. I think he died of a heart attack. I don't know. He died of something. No shit, he died of something. His brother's still alive. I think Brett McKenna. God damn it, dude. I think that's what it is. I think he's an evolutionary biologist at some small college up in like Northwestern, I think Washington or Oregon. I think it was Evergreen College, and he had like this like 2017, 2016, there was like an outcry because I think people were claiming that he was like racist or something, or I don't know what he was doing. He didn't do anything bad. You know how people just kind of lose their mind over nothing because they're bored all the time and they're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23-year-old kids. Yes, that's my age, and I'm including that into the mix. But people get bored and they start saying obscene things, and they think everyone's out there to attack them. They think they have all the answers, even though they have very, very basic level knowledge on anything. And if you ask them a few questions, they're like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about? They're not capable of saying, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about. So they just continue and they act like fucking assholes. And they cry and outrage and get on Twitter, and they tell their mommy, daddy, and they yell at people with authority, even though they hate people who have authority. But God forbid, if someone didn't have authority, then they couldn't talk to authority, so authority couldn't yell at the people that they hate. So they need authority. So they're very confused. And I'm saying they because that's my age, but I don't feel like I'm that person, but I could be that person. But I like to think that I will shut up if I don't know things, and I like to accept other people's viewpoints because that's what life's about. So that's what life is about, and that's beautiful. Anyways, that's his brother. But Terrence McKenna was a psychonaut, so he enjoyed the use of psychedelics to get him to different mind states. I have never consumed a psychedelic. I'm not saying that as a righteous thing. I'm not saying I'm better or worse than you, but what I'm saying is I spend a lot of my time listening and researching people, philosophers, scientists, psychonauts, it doesn't matter. People with PhDs, doctor degrees, and I spend a lot of time listening to them talk about psychedelics and like these alternate realities they go to, because I find that so fascinating and changes your perspective on so many things. And I think it's very interesting. And I'm going to try some type of mind altering drug in the future. You know, probably not anytime soon, but maybe in the future I will. But I already feel like my perspective is kind of switched off a little bit. Like I feel like my reality is, I don't know, for some reason I just feel like it's on a different wavelength than most people's. I don't, not that I see the world in a better way, but I just think when you're when you're watching a sporting event, and let's say the Super Bowl, and if Patrick Mahomes is like 10 seconds left, he has to throw a touchdown to win the game. Let's just make this up. This is how I describe it to people. Everyone's watching Patrick Mahomes. And let's say you're at the stadium. Everyone's watching. I do this in the movie theater too. Everyone's watching Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know if this is like a change perspective thing. It's probably not, but it's just, it describes a little bit about my personality. Patrick Mahomes has the ball. Tense moment. Everyone's watching TV. Everyone's sitting around watching the television. I just repeated myself twice. And then, boom, he calls hike, throws the ball, touchdown. Game goes wild. People lose their mind. But everyone's eyes were pierced on Patrick Mahomes the whole time. Me, on the other hand, I'm the one watching the people's reactions. I'm watching the people. Let's say I'm inside my house. I'm watching my father and my mother and my sister and my girlfriend and anybody else is there. Or if I'm at the movie theater, I'm watching people watch the most intense part of the movie. Or if I'm at a sporting event, I'm watching the people watch the game. That's, if you could take that and you could expand that and apply it to every aspect, whatever the correlation would be, that's kind of how I live my life. And I'm always just, anyways, I just feel like I view the world at a weird perspective. You know, not better, not worse than anybody, but I feel like the way I consume events is just at a different rate. Anyways, that's one of the reasons why I haven't done psychedelic drugs, because I already feel like what I can get from them as of right now, I have. Maybe in the future that might change. But that's one of the reasons. The other reasons that I don't want to develop schizophrenic. I don't want to become a schizophrenic. And another thing is I don't want to change my reality when I already feel like my reality is a little altered for whatever reason that is. I don't know what that is, but that's there. Anyways, so that's a little bit about my mental state. But Terrence McKenna was a psychonaut. I think he was some sort of scientist, I think. I don't know, maybe not. But I have a few quotes here, and I just want to share both of them. I kind of want to expand on them and talk about them a little bit and just kind of give you like my viewpoints on them. Now, mind you, when I looked for these quotes, I didn't really read them. I read like the first line. I'm going to read both of them, and I'm probably going to read one, break it down, talk about it. Because I don't think Terrence McKenna is somebody that people talk about, but I think he's somebody that people need to hear about, especially at a time that we're living in today. I think he provides a lot of insight on the world and a lot of knowledge on the world in a different perspective, and I think he unlocks the chains on people when it comes to, I think people are so afraid to share their own opinion or to have a personal thought anymore in the climate that we live in, that people, instead of having their own personal experiences translated into words and then spoken about, they want to kind of shut off. Their experiences are still there, but they shut off the translation into words. They could just not be capable of it, but they shut that off. So you're having these experiences and you're enjoying these experiences, but you don't feel like you can say these experiences because they go against whatever your group believes in. So I think there's a lot of defecating. That's pooping. There's a lot of self-hatred that people feel these days, and I think a lot of it is unaware too. I think a lot of people aren't aware of the way that they feel about themselves, because you have these experiences and it's human nature to share them with people. But if you feel like you can't share them with people because there's this conceived idea that if it doesn't fit in this box, it's absurd, then I don't think you do. I don't think that's healthy. And honestly, a beautiful thing about having a podcast is I don't have to answer to anybody, which is strange because I don't know the long-term ramifications, and I don't really care too much because I'm so confident that speaking out, whether it's right or wrong, doing that is a powerful thing. I think it's important as shit. And I think if you think something, I think it's important to expand on it, and if it's a wrong thought, to try to bring it back to a point where it isn't wrong, or it's at least accepted, instead of just letting it build up and fester inside of you, But I think that's one of the really cool things about podcasting is you can do that. I can sit here, I could talk, and I could develop these ideas, and then you guys can watch me kind of tie the knot at the end, or not tie the knot and just let them out there, and then eventually come back around to them. But there's something to be said about having your own thought process and having your own voice, and not always bowing down to the crowd that's above you, or to the group that's above you, or whatever it is, whatever it is, and saying fuck you to whatever that group of people is, or and I think that's important. I think it's radical. I think it's radical to be that person, but I think that person is what people enjoy listening to. I always ask myself, why is Joe Rogan so popular? I think it's because he brings on all these viewpoints. He brings in all these people from all around the world, Democrats, Republicans, just outspoken in each party, just these unique human beings, and he lets them share their viewpoints. And if he disagrees, he doesn't disagree in a violent manner, but he does not. He makes sure his voice is heard, and I think that is so important. And you don't really hate the guests that come on. Was I a Bernie fan? I don't know. Maybe not. When I heard him on Joe Rogan's podcast, oh, this is a cool guy. And I don't really like Trump, so I probably won't vote for Trump. And I don't know, I wanted to vote for Andrew Yang, but my man had dropped out of the presidential candidacy. Fuck, man. But, so I'm like, I like Bernie. I might even vote for Bernie. I don't know. Unless Tulsi Gabbard doesn't. I like her too, but, Bernie would have my vote. I think Bernie will have my vote. But anyways, I think there's something super important about having an independent viewpoint on things. And I think we need more of that. Frankly, we need more of that in this world. And I think it's important to not bow down to the common popular viewpoint all the time. But I got to hurry up, and I just want to talk about these quotes real quick. I almost bent down to get my drink, but it's right next to me. So, quote number 1. We are told no. We are unimportant. We are peripheral. Get a degree, get a job, get this, get that. And then you are a player. But you don't want to play in the game. You want to reclaim your mind and get it out of the hands of the cultural engineers who want to turn you into a half-baked moron consuming all this trash that's being manufactured out of the bones of a dying world. Quote number 2. No, I'm going to break that one down real quick. I think that one's interesting. There's this philosophical question, borderline neuroscience question about free will. And I've fought with this concept many times, not with people, because it's a hard conversation to have with people, if they even want to have it. Otherwise, you just sound like an asshole. About free will. Does it exist? Is it a real thing? And it's one of those concepts where you want to believe it is. You want to believe it is. And your entire life, throughout high school, even into college, you're fed this notion that free will, you have the ability to do whatever you want. And the life that you live is derived from the choices you make. But I've always been very intrigued with this concept. This quote specifically, that first line, we're told no. We're told we're important. Get a degree, get a job, get this, get that. And then you're a player. Because I can relate to that. I didn't want to. I didn't want to attend university. But you're told no, you have to. You're an important person. You can go out and you can get these jobs. You could say I had that choice to say fuck you to the system and not go. But the outside pressure is suffocating. You know? So you make this choice of going with the flow. So much so that you become a player, you fall into the system. You get a job, you get your degree, and you start working. I haven't got to that point yet in my life. But in the back of your mind, it's suicide. It's self-suicide. Why? Why? Because you never wanted to play this game. This is never what you wanted to do. And there's people all the time telling you, you can do whatever you want until game over, until it's not what's best. They think that's not what is best for you. I just love this quote because it's the truth. We're told no. We're told yes. We get the thing that we're supposed to get. We get it. We get a job. And then for 40 years, we try our hardest to convince ourselves that this is what we wanted. This is what I was so afraid of. This is the reason why I don't take a traditional path. Because I knew that after 40 years of my life, if I look back and I did this and I did this only, that shit would that would crush me. Because I've done it before. Just honestly, just being at high school. I know I had to graduate with an education in high school because I think there's basic concepts that you need to know, like math and English and writing. But I love this quote because it goes to show that you don't fall in that trap. Like, do not fall in that trap. If you don't want to do it, if you don't want to do college, you're going to have to deal with the constant pressure. Not just college, this is anything. If you do not want to be a lawyer, your dad's a lawyer, mom's a doctor. If you don't want to be a doctor, if you don't want to be a lawyer, they will push you into that direction. Why? You got to understand this too. I think it's important to understand that their perspective is it's what they know and it's protected them and it's been safe for them and it's got them through life, you know? So you got to understand that. You got to accept that viewpoint and be like, oh, well, that makes sense. But if you truly believe you're an important person, don't do that. You know, you're going to have to fight and understand that people are going to look down upon you, but that's okay. You know, just do whatever it is that gets your rocks off. But don't be a bitch, though. Do it the best you possibly can. You know, if you're going to do anything, don't just peacock up and be like, whoa, look, and this is what I did. This is what I did. Is I peacocked up and I was like, whoa, look all you guys. Look at me. I'm not doing this shit. And I'm embarrassed. Look, I'm embarrassed by it. It was embarrassing. I didn't work hard. You know, I didn't work hard. I thought I had it when I haven't even started anything. You know, and I think if you're going to do something that is against the grain, whatever that means, don't be a wiener. Kick ass, you know, kick ass. Because you don't want to be part of the system if you knew that you didn't want to be a part of the system before. Because you're never going to convince yourself that in 40 years that, oh, it's going to be all worth it. It may be all worth it. You may be able to pay for this, do that, put your kids through college. But in the back of your brain, you shot yourself through the brain 40 years ago. You killed a part of yourself. You killed that creativity, that creative part of your brain. I think that's important. I think that's a beautiful quote, and I think that's something that people need to listen to a lot more. Second one, Terrence McKenna. Look him up, guys. You'll like him a lot. Okay. Dude, ever since I got over the flu, I've had like this dry cough for like a week. And there's a guy at the gym who had the same thing I had, and he said he's had the dry cough for like 2 weeks now. But I hope I didn't get coronavirus. I don't think I did. I shouldn't have said that, but dude, I don't know what it is, but I've never coughed this much, and it's been nonstop, man. Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm also under 210 pounds consistently. I'm like 207.4 pounds this morning, which is down 10 pounds in about a month and a half, which is like the healthiest I've ever dieted in my life, which is kind of cool. Okay, here we go. And obviously when you start a diet, you're going to lose more weight quickly than, you know, I was like 220. I got up to like 225, bro. Like I got fucking fat as shit, man. Okay. Anyways, okay. Quote. Don't say quote because you know it's a quote. All right, here we go. Ego is a structure that is erected by a neurotic individual who is a member of a neurotic culture against the facts of the matter. And culture, which we put on like an overcoat, is a collectivized consensus about what sort of neurotic behaviors are acceptable. Holy shit, that quote is beautiful. I'm just going to try to I'm processing it through my head into simple terms. So what he's saying is your ego it's always there, right? You're always going to have an ego. Some people would argue that ego is just an extreme form of consciousness. It is, because without consciousness, you don't have ego. Yeah, because you're aware of an I through consciousness, and the way that you view that I is your ego. But ego is a structure that is erected by a neurotic individual. Negative ego, I think that's what he's saying. Someone who's neurotic, all about themselves. And then it's reinforced by a culture that is neurotic too. That's narcissistic. So much so, and you see this now. I mean, you see, and this is what's so cool about his quotes is that they come true. Like it's what we're currently living through. You start seeing a culture full of egomaniacs and narcissists. So much so that like we're living in this world now where we step away from facts. You know, we yell so loud and we're so aggressive. We deny so much that facts start turning into like, what? That's not true. I mean, that's really interesting because it's reinforced. It's reinforced. And then you're outcast. People who do have information like valid, factual information, science is outcasted. They're shamed. And culture, which we put on like an overcoat. And underneath of this jacket are these neurotic people. This collective egotistical maniacs. And then we claim it to be culture. Because once you claim something's culture, you can't really say it's a negative or a positive thing because you're infringing on freedoms. Different religions have cultures around them that are absurd. Absurd acts, like cutting the dick off of a baby, circumcision, that we just kind of accept. But we can use that as a shield for our narcissistic behaviors, which is what he's saying. And then that leads us to accept all these neurotic, narcissistic cultures, which are fake, which is covering up the anger and the ego-driven sickness that is enriched by most people. That's why if you're counterculture, you're scary. You know, if you're someone who's on the fringes, whatever that means, you're a mystery to people. People don't know what to do with you, man. People don't know how to deal with that shit. But I love those quotes, and I love Terrence McKenna. I think he was an absolute genius, and I had a conversation with someone at the gym about him. This guy says something. I've been talking to him a lot lately. He's a very smart guy. He thinks I'm very smart. He said something today to me. He's like, he said for 23, your hunger for intelligence is going to keep you alive a lot longer and a lot happier. And I heard that and I was like, that's so interesting because like I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, I don't feel intelligent. I feel stupid. But what I do love about learning and receiving information and translating it into your own words and trying to understand it, dumbing it down for my dumb brain, is it connects me with so many unique human beings. And if you don't see eye to eye on things, if you're smart and you're aware of more things going on around you, you can connect on certain points that you and that other person who may not have any other points of interest can connect on. I think it's a beautiful thing. I think life is a beautiful thing. I think you're a beautiful person. I think everything that we do every day is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm happy that I get to do this podcast with everybody. I'm happy that people listen. I'm feeling good. And I get scared when these highs are so high because the lows are going to be so low too. So it's something I'm going to have to manage it. But with that being said, guys, you guys made it through another episode of me just being a loser. Beautiful. Yeah. I got nothing else to say. We did a full episode today, guys. You guys listened. I talked. But who knows what. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys continue to have a beautiful week. Have a great weekend. I'll catch you guys on Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for listening. Peace out.